Hello and welcome to the Villa Park podcast. It's me, Rich, and we're not live today. We had to rush in a pre-record for the preview of Aston Villa versus Chelsea. So I've got my main man Kev with me. Kev, how you doing? It's been a busy old week this week.
Been a crazy week, mate. Yeah, absolutely. I'm all good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, very well, very well. Thought we'd have to jump on now because it's turning into another massive, massive week for Aston Villa. Yes, we're previewing Chelsea, but we've also got a semi-final to come in the week, and then we've got Brighton away next week. And these weeks seem to be getting bigger and bigger for the club.
Well, this is absolutely what they say, like squeaky bum time and all that now. But it's the crunch time of the season, and you can see so many ramifications now in sport generally. I mean, look at last night. Leeds could have cemented themselves in that automatic promotion spot, and they lost 4-0. I mean, only in the Championship would you get a team so far down, battling relegation, beating a promotion team. You wouldn't imagine in the Premier League, you wouldn't see, like, I don't know, a Forest beating Arsenal 4-0. Maybe Man United, maybe, or Chelsea, but,
Yeah. I mean, every now and again there's a dodgy result.
yeah,
But yeah, it was strange. It was strange. I
Championship's
mean,
mad, isn't it?
like you say, you just wouldn't expect Man City to slip up
No, you
or
wouldn't.
someone like that against a Sheffield United. But stranger things have happened. It's funny what pressure does to you. But one thing
Yeah.
we know is Unai Emery is very much about consistency, very much about expectation, and I'm sure he won't be allowing the players to drop their standards with Chelsea coming up.
Well, absolutely, mate. Like I was saying, you've got ramifications of that. You've got all the tough at the bottom of the Championship with our dear rivals who, if results don't go their way, they could be cast adrift, or they could get a massive win to get them out of it, into the last game of the season. And of course, for Villa, when we've had the crunch time moments, we've generally come through them really well. And today for Aston Villa I feel like we say this every single week. Oh, it's a massive Tuesday for Aston Villa in terms of the training today. It's a massive Saturday, whatever. But if we win today, we know that we then got a 9 point cushion on obviously Spurs, and that, I think, despite the fact that Spurs can win games and they could beat anybody, I think, on their day if they're at it. Doug is going to be a big miss for them in the running because he's been such an important player. But I do start to feel that might be insurmountable, if I dare say that, if we get that 9 point lead. So massive day under the lights at Villa Park. Um, Team will be greeted at 6:30 again on
Yes.
training, which was an amazing thing that happened previously. I didn't see it myself, but I could hear the chanting as I was walking to the ground, which was brilliant. Um, and I really think we'll be up for it. I really feel like Unai will have the lads absolutely chomping at the bit to get over the line, basically.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk kind of what Unai might do and players and stuff for Villa. But let's talk about our opponents a little bit. Chelsea. I mean, what can you say about Chelsea and the money they've spent, the manager they've brought in? It just seems like absolute chaos at the moment at that club.
Chelsea are like that Forrest Gump quote, aren't they? Like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get with Chelsea. Really, I mean, they won 6-0 and then they lost the next game 5-0. That's right, isn't it?
Mm.
So, it's crazy. We've seen this season in the FA Cup how good Chelsea can be on their day when all their players click. And that day, Fernandez looked, like the player that they signed. Obviously, amazing free kick. They were effective, strong at the back. They looked like a decent team. And they've had plenty of times this season when they've shown that. But they've had plenty of times this season when they've looked like they could have been relegation fodder.
Mm.
And you don't know what you're going to get. I think the thing with Chelsea, which I think is it's amazing that we're saying this based on what that Chelsea team used to be like, with the Drogbas and the Lampards and the Terrys and the Ivanoviches and all those kind of stalwarts they had in that team for so many years. But I bet Ivanovic is pleased to be in that company, isn't he? In my little summary, Drogba, Terry, Lampard, Ivanovic. Well done, Branislav. Um, but it's that they were always such a really strong,
Yeah. Strong
they had such great
spine. Yeah. Big
standards.
presence. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and now Chelsea, you've only seen from the two incidents this season with squabbling over a penalty kick, like a group of 7-year-olds. If my lad did that, if your lad did that, like under 9, under 10 football, you'd be so annoyed with them. And yet, that's a team of like international Premier League footballers that are on being bought for hundreds of millions of pounds, some of them. So, um, you don't know what you're going to get, and you can't. I don't think you can be too overly confident with Chelsea just because they got absolutely battered the other day, because we've seen what they can do. But I just think our consistency is better. I think at home we've generally been really good. Saturday games at home we've got a good record, as we know, and I can't see anything other than an Aston Villa win. And to say that when we know, obviously, basically Chelsea should be coming to Villa Park and wiping the floor with us, as per our previous managers' quotes, then to think how far that's gone now, that we would have an expectation that we would beat them, I think is absolutely wonderful world to be
Yeah,
living in, Richard.
I mean, on that, I flip flop a little bit between kind of a little bit of sympathy for Chelsea supporters, and then like being annoyed at that self entitlement. And I know fans have that, but like to see the meltdown that they've been going through about, oh, look where we are in the league, it's shocking, sack the manager, all that kind of jazz, and what a club like Aston Villa do in the top four. To then also, like I say, feeling a little bit like, well, if you had that experience and being in those leagues and you're spending all this money, like, are you slightly justified in feeling like that? I mean, but yeah, it's just a strange. I can't decide whether I kind of feel for them a little bit, but also kind of I can't believe the sense of entitlement that they have, that you know as if Villa or West Ham or Newcastle don't deserve to be in the top echelons of the Premier League.
We can understand the sense of like, who are these upstarts, because for the most recent era of football that we know, for the last probably 20 years, it is now pretty much, isn't it, since that first season of Mourinho. I think it was 03, 04, or 04, 05, maybe.
Yeah.
So 20 years. Villa have been languishing, really, other than a bit of that spell at the start when we had, a little bit of a good record against them, with obviously O'Neill and Zat Knight towering headers in and stuff like that. But really, for the majority of that time, well, we've either been in the Championship, we've been at the bottom end of the Premier League, we've had 8-0 drubbins. They've just absolutely been unbelievable. They've won 2 Champions League trophies. But you and I are a bit older. We remember football isn't just in the
Well,
last 20
that's
years.
it. Yeah, Villa historically probably a bigger club.
Not probably 100%. I'll give you the stats, Richard. Before he came in terms of Mr. Abramovich and Mourinho, they'd won 1 league title, 1955. They'd
Yeah.
won. I mean, obviously they had a bit of a good spell under, obviously with Hulley and Vialli, etc. Late 90s, but they won a couple of FA Cups in the late 90s. But before 1996, they'd won 1 FA Cup. When 1997, they won 1 FA Cup. They'd won 1 League Cup before 1998. So they'd won 1 league title, 1 League Cup, and 1 FA Cup before the late 90s. Aston Villa had won 7 league titles, 7 FA Cups. By that point, 5 League Cups and the European Cup. So, it's fantastic what they've done, but they've done it also with a huge investment, which could have gone anywhere. Chelsea do have some history. They've had some great players over the years, but I think it's massively been skewed by recency bias, the same as Man City. So
Mm.
I have zero sympathy. I know some Chelsea fans.
I knew you were gonna. That's why I
Yeah,
set it up. I knew you were gonna
yeah,
say
yeah. You team me up here to get some grief from the Chelsea fans.
that.
I know some Chelsea fans, and I don't have any truck or beef with them. But like, you know what? Sometimes the order of power
Sometimes yeah, exactly. You got
changes.
to go through it. Yeah, yeah,
Mm.
I agree. I agree. And you think of the way that they've at the moment, it looks like wasted all that money. I know they've got a lot of young players. Um, it just seems like they're going to have to go through a lot of struggle, as supporters to maybe get out the other side. Now, one player who has impressed immensely this season, and at first I was a little bit skeptical, but he's continued to improve and he's got better and better and better. Is Cole Palmer, and at the moment he's absolutely vital to Chelsea, and could possibly get into that England team.
Yeah, he's been tremendous, hasn't he? He's been tremendous, and he has, you know, proven himself really, because he could have stayed at Man City, and he would have won more trophies. He probably would have played 10 to 15 games this season. So you've got to give him a huge amount of credit. Pep said, didn't he, in a recent post-match or pre-match interview, that he'd been asking to leave for a couple of years.
Mm.
Think about the logic of what he's done. I know Chelsea got a lot of money. They probably offered him a good contract, but they've been nowhere near the top positions for a bit now. Man City were fighting and will always be fighting for trophies this season, no matter what happened. And he could have stayed there, won another Premier League, all that kind of stuff going on. And yet he's got chosen to take the bigger opportunity where the spotlight's on him And you've got to say, from a career perspective, it's paid off.
Yeah,
You can give so many examples of players the other way that have kind of sat in Man City's reserves or played 10 to 15 games. You can even argue with Jack Grealish. He's one of those people now. But he's been a revelation. I know he's had 9 penalties, but still the contribution that he's made, the difference to their team when he's in the team, and I think he's going to be in the team today because he's recovered from illness. He's going to be a real threat to Aston Villa. But one thing he's done, I think he's shown a sense of heart and belief and desire that a lot of those players haven't shown. And we talk about the millions spent at Chelsea, but if you want to go some way to demotivating football players in this modern era, give them an 8-year contract because, maybe it's no surprise that they might switch off at times. And
exactly.
I think he's booked the trend with that because I think he's really, really shown himself to be a leader in terms of what he does on the pitch for that team. So, yeah, that he'll be a threat today for sure.
Yeah, yeah. On to Villa. I guess the question is at the moment, with Moreno still out, Zaniolo still out, Douglas Luiz is available again. We kind of touched on that on Tuesday. Tielemans and McGinn have done great work in that midfield. You could argue it wasn't as fluid when Luiz came in against Lille. Obviously, different circumstances and pressurized night. But yeah, does Luiz get straight back in the team, or does he go with McGinn and Tielemans in that pivot in midfield?
I think he does. I think you push McGinn further forward. I think Diaby comes out. I think the only question mark for me on the team, if everyone's fit and available as per the injury update with, we know Moreno and Zaniolo are out, and obviously the long-term ones, is whether it's going to be Carlos in and then Konza right back, or Cash and Konza in those positions. That's the only one for me. I think Diaby, if again subject to Bailey being full fitness, I think Rodgers keeps his place with the way he's been
Mm.
lately. I think Bailey is clearly Watkins going for that 20th goal of the season. And I just think that despite how well we've played, I just think he has to come back in for me. I think also
Yeah,
Chelsea's midfield is pretty strong, isn't it? So I think you'd want him in there.
yeah. I mean, they've not got Enzo, so he's injured. Caicedo will play, and
Gallagher.
they'll have Gallagher. He's the engine, isn't he? He gets about the pitch. So yeah, I mean, I can see all those scenarios, but yeah, I think you're probably right. He might want to go a little bit more combative in midfield, and also what it gives you is a weapon off the bench, doesn't it? With all the best will in the world, we started strong last week with Bailey, Diaby, Rodgers, and Watkins, but when sometimes games are won on 60th minute, as we found out with the Arsenal game. When he
Yeah.
brings Bailey on, and sometimes you need those cards to play off the bench. And if he's got a Diaby to bring on, as well as a John Duran to bring on, it gives you those couple more options that you can utilize. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
I agree. I think having them on the bench does give them something to worry about, doesn't it?
yeah,
That's the thing. And we were a little bit limited. And I think if actually the Arsenal game wasn't going our way, we were one down, we might have been struggling to change it potentially.
yeah, yeah. So, yeah, obviously, talking around just the occasion, you've um, mentioned about the crowd. How important the crowd will be. Obviously, it worked with getting the greeting the players as they're coming in. I think that's a really good touch. Getting that atmosphere right from the start. The Bournemouth atmosphere was fantastic. We know that it's under the lights, and yeah, the crowd just need to be up for this game because, like you said before, about the opportunity that we've got to go 9 points clear, albeit Tottenham will have 3 games in hand. The I guess the opportunity to secure fifth spot, to take that away from Man United, not that it isn't already. Just everything is in our hands at the moment, and it's fantastic, isn't it? But we've really got to make sure that we put everything to the players and give them the best opportunity.
Absolutely, but this is what a professional football career is about, isn't it? How often do you get these opportunities? And I think McGinn himself said it recently in an interview. But to be doing this stuff, to be playing in the semi-final, etc., is just it's what you want to be doing. He said he watched the Champions League for years and years and years. For like 12 years as a professional, whatever it's been, and he wants to be in it. And the belief is strong in this corner. The belief is there. We've had plenty of examples we've given on when we've come back from behind, or we've been looking like we weren't going to do something in games, when we've had bad defeats and we've responded. And you can just see all of the hallmarks of a team that have got confidence in what they are doing and the plan that they've got behind them. And these moments now are what it's about. to be a professional footballer. We'll probably still lose league games before the end of the season, and there's no guarantee we're going to beat Olympiacos, because obviously second leg away from home in any European
Yeah.
semi-final is going to be tough. But I believe in this team. That I think we've got opportunities, and there's no greater opportunity, is there? The way the fixtures have gone, clearly we've had to beat Arsenal at the Emirates, to get to where we've got to here, and then obviously follow up with a good win against Bournemouth. But to get the opportunity to be able to take a 9-point gap on Spurs to pretty much cement that fifth spot, I just think it sets down a real marker. And then Spurs, no, they've got to go into some incredibly tough games, and they've got to win them to even keep themselves in the race. And that is, I just think that's probably going to be a bit too much for them. But hey, we got to do the job against Chelsea first
We
of all.
have. We have. We have. And one thing to remind Sky, yes, Aston Villa are a top 6 club. I don't
I saw it. Yeah, I
just
saw it.
just so you remember, Sky Sports, as you're desperate for us not to be in a classed as a top 6 club. We are actually in the top 4 actually. So yeah.
Mm.
Trouble you for a score prediction, Kev, before we finish up?
Yeah, I'm going to go for a 3-0 Aston Villa win.
Whoa. And does Ollie get his 20th Premier League goal of the season?
Ollie gets his 20th and 21st and 22nd goals of the season. Watkins hat trick, Aston Villa 3-0. Boom, let's have it. Cole Palmer in your face. Yeah.
Lovely. I'm going to say 3-1 Villa. I think they will score. I think Nicholas Jackson will score one of his maybe 15 shots that he has tonight. Hopefully not, but yeah, I think he'll score, put a chance away. But yeah, I think Watkins will get a goal. I think McGinn will score, and I think that Mr. Leon Patrick Bailey will score tonight, and hopefully get his assist as well for his double. What a player he is.
Yeah, he's been
Right,
great.
that's it.
Is it Leon Patrick? Do you think he could have played for Ireland then, Leon?
Maybe,
Oh, that would have been
maybe.
good. My mum would have been happy if Leon had played on the wing for Ireland. Would have been great.
But yeah, that'll do for us tonight. I know you're at the game tonight, Kev. Enjoy it. Sing as loud as everyone else. Even though you're in those posh seats, make sure you are singing as loud and proud as everyone
I'm not
else.
always in the posh seats, mate. I'm not always in the posh seats.
Everyone, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you get in the comments as well. Let us know your score predictions, and your scorers, and any of your thoughts on tonight's game. We are moving closer to that 4,000 subscriber mark. So thank you for all your support. But make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. Enjoy the match tonight. We'll be back tomorrow for match reaction. So thank you for watching. And as always, remember, we'll follow the Villa.